So I'm really pleased to welcome our guest today. Yes, it works. So Claire, on connaît, who is CIO of Medivet, and Lewis Crowley, who is account director for Delaware, and Sylvain Monté as the domain lead for the ERP in France. So we will have this little agenda together. So first of all, Claire, the floor is yours, and could you present us what is Medivet, what is your society, your company, sorry, in few words?
I will. Bonjour. That's about it in my French.
You can continue.
So I work for Medivet, and we are a veterinary company in Europe. So we have 450 clinics, veterinary clinics, in 350 in the UK, 30 in France, where we trade as Okivet. In Spain, we have about 50, and in Germany, 20. We are backed by a large private equity firm, as all vets are these days, CVC Capital Partners, and we make about £400 million of revenue every year, and about 60 million of EBITDA. That gives you just an idea. We've got about 4,500 employees, majority of which are vets or nurses. So yeah, that's a bit about Medivet.
Yeah. Who have pets? Who know Okivet in France? You should.
They are based in Lyon, although they are all around, but yes, if ever you get a pet.
Maybe you should not, because that's not a good news.
They're very expensive. Pets are very expensive.
Yeah. To continue, maybe Claire, you can give us a short introduction of what was the project scope.
Yeah.
In few words.
Yes, I will. So, Medivet grew from acquisition. So generally, in the veterinary industry, it's better to buy an established vet than try and build your own on a greenfield site. So, and there's been a lot of consolidation in the UK, and now France is the next biggest. So there's a lot of consolidation of the independent vets into groups. So what that meant was we inherited an awful lot of IT systems. So each vet would have its own practice management system, which is the kind of core system they use. And it would have its own network, its own telephony, it would have all of its own. So we had sort of 450 like little miniature kind of IT landscapes. So we built this, which we call the IT blueprint. And we said that this was our kind of vision. And at the time, the bit in the middle, the PMS, the practice management system, in the UK that's Freedom, here that's Vet Up, and then in Spain we have, I can't remember what we've got in Spain, but in Germany we've got Vetera, so that tends to be per country. But those systems over the years have just evolved to do absolutely everything. It's the same in dentistry, opticians, pharmacy. They tended to be set up by clinicians, and they do, the clinical record, appointment booking, stock ordering. They do, payment. They try and manage a kind of accountancy of all your account, so they'll manage where the cost allocations are, and they do reporting. They built them to do everything, and they do none of it very well. So our problem was that we had 450 different practice management systems doing things not very well. So we standardised all the practice management systems onto one, and then we started to try and work out how do we take capability from the practice management system, like payment, and move it into an off-the-shelf product. Something like, well, in our case, Dynamics, and we'll go on to why Dynamics. But that was really our big problem statement. And then obviously we want all of that feeding into our enterprise data warehouse, and then we've got Power BI on top. And that is a problem. I've been in pharmacy and opticians before. That is a problem in all of these sorts of companies, is they all have overly complicated practice management systems. They can't get decent data out of it, and it's all a bit messy with the finances.
And maybe to continue, Lewis, maybe you can explain to us why Dynamics.
I think I was doing Dynamics and you're doing
Delaware,
aren't you? So
maybe.
So basically,
together. We can go together.
So we're very much a Microsoft shop. So we had all of our Freedom application was developed in Azure. We had all our hosting was in Azure. We're Office 365. We were using Dynamics CRM. So it made sense to use Dynamics. I think for the size of our business, there are only really 2 or 3 that sees probably Oracle, SAP or Dynamics. And I have had bad experience with SAP. Everything is so expensive. And it felt that Dynamics was more flexible and it integrated well with the rest of our technology stack. So that's why we chose Dynamics. But we did look at SAP, but we quite quickly went for Dynamics. And then you were just going to say why?
Yeah, I suppose just in terms of a bit of a background and overview of how we started working with Medivet, what the project looked like. So about 2 years ago, we met some of their team out in Lyon. The purpose of that meeting was really just to understand Medivet's business challenges, understand their requirements, understand the vision that Claire has obviously just talked a little bit about, to really get a sense and a feel for what that project could look like. So to do that, we went through a number of different workshops. So starting, like I say, in Lyon, then back in the UK, to really understand, what was that kind of phase 1 MVP. When we meet customers, clients, new prospects, they tend to have a very long wish list of things that they want to implement. So it was really important for us to understand very quickly what that phase 1 would look like. So that's what the workshops were designed to achieve. It's really important for us. We want to be set up for success. So by putting in that understanding of what phase 1 would look like, we're very clear on what the project goals are, what success looks like, and we agree we've got a common goal to work towards. Once we've obviously got that understanding, we then really tried to bring the project to life. So we took those requirements, we did a number of playback sessions, a number of demonstrations with Medivet and their team, with the sole purpose of really getting them excited. We really wanted to take them on that journey, show them that art of the possible and what that future state could look like, because people are very, very important in those projects. So like I said, from our perspective, we were very keen to get the right stakeholders involved. So we were very fortunate that the CFO at Medivet had previous experience of working with Delaware in the UK. So we had a foot in the door, but it was by no means a slam dunk. We had to go across the different parts of their business. So we met lots of people in finance, lots of people in IT. Claire was obviously one of those key sponsors in facilitating that. And what we really wanted to show was how can we one team? That's what the project is. We were an extension of the Medivet team. So it was really important for us to show how Delaware shows up as a partner, how they could be a trusted and strategic advisor, how we obviously work closely with the Medivet team, but also with Microsoft. So it's that triangle relationship to ensure that we are delivering against kind of expectations. So as I mentioned, we pushed hard and focused a lot around that one team. We had to do that. The project was very aggressive. We met just in the autumn, and they were looking to start using it by May. So very aggressive timelines. So it was important to build that relationship, build that trust, so that we could obviously deliver. And there's a lot around our mission statement here, around we commit, we deliver. So if we sign up to a project, we will deliver it. So reputation's on the line here. So that's how we engaged with the Medivet team.
But you say that it was really an aggressive, I would say, project plan.
Yeah.
How you secure that? Because the time is always a problem in our project. So what was in terms of operational stuff? How you secure this part?
I think so. just to build on. So the CFO is Belgian. He's of origin, and he knew Delaware from Belgium. And I think that one of the reasons we did pick Delaware was the European presence. So as we did the UK first, just because it was the biggest and we had the biggest prize, but then we quite quickly went into France with the platform and got the French team to use it as well. And I think the ability for Delaware to spin up project teams across the site, you know, the countries we were in was really helpful. In terms of how did we reach the timescale, it was him, if I'm really honest. So, you know, the IT team were good, I would say, and, you know, clearly.
You were.
But, you know, we've got some good people. But the CFO was absolutely, you know, you will all know that the key to any technology or business change project is a clear sponsor, is a really strong sponsor. And he'd done it several times before, including with Delaware in his previous companies. And he just basically, he got in his mind how we would do it that quickly for financial year end, and he just drove the project. But as you all probably well know, all project teams get very fatigued when these projects go on and on and on and on. So actually having that really clear, aggressive timescale where we had strong sponsorship, everyone just sort of drove for it. And after he then left about 3 months after that and went to another company, but it sort of stalled a bit then, and we haven't made as much progress on the later phases as we would have. So
I think what he did, to Claire's point, he removed all the roadblocks.
Yeah.
Typically with these projects, you know, there's blockers. You don't have access to certain key stakeholders. Everybody's busy. There's thousands of other priorities. So it was really refreshing to have a key exec and a sponsor like that, you know, was really driving this forward. And you know, if there were any times where, you know, things weren't progressing as fast as he wanted, you know, he would ask. He would say, how do I remove that blocker?
Yeah.
So I think that was really key in meeting those time frames. And as Claire said, you know, we ran at speed to meet that deadline. We've gone into some other phases, but as Claire said, you know, a change of leadership. You know, the project is now, well, wouldn't say stall, but there's a new direction. There's a new CFO that's in there to take stock. So there are projects that we're looking at, but yeah, in terms of this project, it was very impressive.
That was my next point, but just if one of you were in the previous workshop, I promise, because it was the same message about the sponsorship, which is something really important. I promise that I didn't say anything about before. But we understand that's the key. Yes, and maybe we can conclude on that. What is the roadmap and the next steps on the project for Medivet?
So we've established the platform now, and the finance system is now running in Dynamics. But the next stage was to remove more of the components of the practice management system and put them into the ERP. And we haven't made as much, that's the bit we've stalled on a bit. So we wanted to move the creation of invoices into the ERP. We wanted to move all of our stock ordering into the ERP so that it could maintain a stock file. And obviously that gives you a lot of back office efficiencies, because it can all be automated, and that's the part we've still got quite a lot sitting in the practice management system. So whilst it's running and the platform's there, without that real drive, because it's quite hard. So moving some of that into Dynamics is quite hard to do. We've got to sort of unpick quite a lot of complexity. So I think that's where we've now got to focus.
Okay. So thanks a lot.